Welcome to Songs from the Second Floor, broadcast on 88.1 FM WICE and live streamed around the world through WICE.org. I'm Randall Stewart, one of the voices you often hear at the radio station, and I'm also proud to be able to host this interview today. WICE is a listener-supported, volunteer-powered community radio station broadcasting to support the organizational mission of building community through media. And we do this by bringing you a world of music. Our guests today on the program are Jim and Susie Malcolm. Jim was last with us in 2018, performing with Kent District Library Sunday Afternoon Live, and was booked to play again this fall, but due to the coronavirus pandemic, plans have changed. For the past 30 years and more, Jim Malcolm has been the ultimate Scots troubadour, taking the traditional songs of Scotland and his own prize-winning compositions to all corners of the UK and almost every state in the US. His voice is one of the finest in Scotland. His mellifluous guitar playing is perfect accompaniment. This year, he has another trick up his sleeve. His wife, Susie, breaks loose from the office to join him in concert. You may have heard her voice on harmonies on several other of Jim's CDs, but with their children off to new pastures, Susie's now entering stage left. An award-winning traditional singer herself, Susie sings songs from the northeast of Scotland and has a penchant for ballads. Their 2017 debut album as a duo, Spring Will Follow On, was warmly received and has been widely played across 2 continents. Their second CD, a duo, The Berries, was released in 2019. Together they offer harmonies and humor, tales from the road, Riverside, and from the home front, and are not to be missed. Please join me in welcoming Jim and Susie Malcolm.
Hi. Hello there. Says I'm dearest Molly, come let us fix the time. When ye and I get married, love and wedlock is combined. When ye and I get married, love, right happy we will be. For you are the bonny lassie that's to pad the road with me.
To pad the road with you, sir, cold winter's coming on. Besides my aged parents, I've ne'er a girl but one. Besides my aged parents, I've ne'er a girl but me. So I'm no the bonny lassie that's to pad the road with me.
Oh, never mind cold winter, love, spring will follow on. Come sit ye down beside me and I'll sing you a nice song. I'll sing you a nice song while I diddle you on my knee. For you are the bonny lassie that's to pad the road with me.
Well, the other lads that I had, they proved of cruel mind. They beat me and baddies me and proved to be unkind. They beat me and baddies me and guard me through the day. The dare I give my love to them to pad the road away.
Oh lassie, dearest lassie, love will never dare wrang. It's on my honest fairness life for swirled in a hand. I'll busk you broad and fair so you can bear the grey. As a bell no other country round to pad the road with me. So she has donned her hose and chin and tae the kirk of gain. And lang a morning, a cup of well made in. And lang every morning, our troubles were set free. For she's a bonny lassie that's to.
She's a bonny lassie.
She's a bonny lassie that's to pad the road with me.
Thank you, Jim and Susie Malcolm, live
Very
from
much.
Scotland. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for sharing your song. Can you tell us a little bit about what we just heard?
Susie?
Yes, this song comes from the travellers' tradition in Scotland. Now, that means from the group of people who made their living travelling around the country, doing whatever casual work was required, or work in the fields, planting, sowing, picking berries, harvesting. And these people gave us a huge and rich legacy of songs from their tradition, because it was a very strong singing tradition. Lots of campfires in the evening after the work was done, and yeah, it's a kist of riches that we have from them. And that's one song with quite a typical storyline, in that there's a young man trying to entice a woman to come away with him.
Come away with me.
Join the traveller's life.
We'll sleep under the stars and we'll live on love alone, you know, and the ditches are surprisingly comfortable. Yes.
That's terrific. Thank you. Well, we certainly miss seeing you in person, but we're glad you could join us this way. 2020 certainly been a strange year for all of us. How are you and your family doing through this pandemic?
Well, we were so looking forward to this year. This was really our big year. Susie and I started touring together in America, and we managed to squeeze in a tour to the West Coast in January and February before all hell broke loose. And yeah, so we did. We have actually been to America this year, but we haven't been anywhere else. I was saying to Susie, I think this is the most consecutive nights of like sleeping in my own home, probably in my entire life, you know.
Well, that's quite a change of rhythm for
Yes.
an artist, a musician like yourself. You know, what kind of an impact has that had on you as performers?
Well, it's been very frustrating. You know, I think musicians need an audience. You know, you need your you need something to sort of bounce off, and that's been quite hard. I think that the fact that we've been able to now get ourselves organised and do online concerts has been, a huge morale booster for us. Actually, it really has.
Yeah, Randy, it was quite noticeable that when we did our first Zoom concert, and we could see people on the screen, and we finished a song and they started clapping, and it made me realise that, pitiful as it might seem, we really need some people to clap.
Please,
to us.
please clap.
We have to talk our children into clapping it to us.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, it's too bad you're not here, because the salmon are just starting to run on the river. I understand you like to fish a little bit.
Yes, and in fact, I had a wonderful day's fishing on the river. It's the one sort of north of Grand Rapids, very famous one where the rainbows come in. Is it the Musk something?
The Muskegon River?
Muskegon, yes. And I nearly caught one. I had it on and then I lost it, and the air was blue with curses when that happened.
Yeah, I've heard that one a few times. I nearly caught it.
Yeah.
Well, very good. So with this change in rhythm, with less being on the road, what are you working on now?
Well, we're working on another CD, which is another collection of lovely old Scottish songs, mostly from the Scottish borders. We have been taking mostly Americans on trips around Scotland for the last 10 years. And we did our first borders trip last year. And as a result, we kind of got to know and learnt a whole bunch of great songs that we'd been aware of but hadn't actually, committed to the mind or committed to the voice. And some of them were so good that we've decided to make a CD of them. Great songs. We're from further north. We're really from the kind of centre and the northeast of Scotland. So the south of Scotland was an area that we hadn't really plundered yet, but we've given it a good plundering.
Excellent.
Something else that we're working on, because I think it's dawning on us that it may be some time before live in the room concerts can really happen again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's early summer next year. Certainly,
So
they're being cautious about it in Scotland. So, yeah, we've been having ideas about maybe a monthly concert online with songs, relating to that month, that sort of thing. We've been thinking,
Yes.
are there enough Halloween songs to make?
We're planning a special Halloween concert, and there's no shortage of ghoulish stories. I mean, they all end up in people dying terribly and horribly. So
the challenge is going to be coming up with a Halloween concert which isn't so full of scary supernatural songs that people can't bear to listen any longer.
But I have to say, Randy, every time I'm in America, the songs that people want to hear are the really sad, nasty ones in a minor key, and I get asked for them all the time. So,
yeah, I wonder if what we're experiencing in the world today is going to produce a bumper crop of that.
Yeah, well, I have certainly noticed that we've had one or two Zoom concerts where we concentrated on cheerful songs and songs that people can sing along with, and I actually think that is what is needed at the moment. Something
Absolutely.
cheering. And you were talking about your station building community, and I think that is really, really important at this time, that people feel that they're gathering. If they can't gather in person, it is actually it does feel like a real gathering even online.
Yeah.
So I think there's important work to be done in that field.
Sure. I'm curious about your creative process, being a husband-wife duo. How do you work together when you're developing something new?
Well, I really enjoy it because Susie it's like has a totally different voice from mine. It's in a different key from mine. All the keys that she sings are not the keys that I sing in. So you can throw anything at us, and either she'll do it or I'll do it, or we do quite a lot of sort of call and answer songs as well, and it gives a lot of variety, I think, to what we can do, much more so than just when I'm doing a concert. It's just a guy with a guitar. But when Susie's with me, I feel we've got just so many more sort of arrows in the quiver.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I think it's fair to say, though, that Jim is the one who does most of the musical writing and arranging. I spend a lot of time on the computer, and then I hope this will make you laugh, but last time we were making a recording, Jim said, "Oh, you just swan in and do this singing part." and that's fair enough. That is, most of the time I am working in an office, and Jim is making all the music. But it is a joy to sing together.
I have a special harmonica that I only ever use when accompanying Susie. It's in C sharp. That's her key. That's her big key.
Wonderful. Well, I'm curious about your Robert Burns work, just kind of shift gears a little bit. People are certainly familiar with his work, All Anxiety and My Love's Like a Red, Red Rose. And you really immersed yourself as Robert Burns for Bard Hair Day.
Oh, yes.
How did the idea for that come about?
I wanted to do something special for the 250th anniversary, which was back in 2009, quite a while ago now. And I just sort of came up with the idea of dressing up as Robert Burns, and I had a costume actually made for me by this professional theatre costume maker and stuff. So it was quite exciting. I remember the first time I put the wig on, I got this fright in my life because I looked like my dad. And I put Robert Burns' wig on. I look like my mum. Just totally like my mum. And she kind of has this sort of Robert Burns hairstyle that she's had for about the last 30 years. So, yeah, that was very interesting. And I have to say that the women do like Robert Burns, even people dressed up as Robert Burns. Definitely, there's a sort of frisson.
Something magical.
Something, yes.
So in the process of doing Robert Burns, what did you learn about him that most people might not know? What kind of surprises did you unearth in your research?
The sheer incredible breadth of his talent, and the number of different subjects and topics that he wrote about. you know, from the most serious and historical and philosophical and political and comedic and satirical and gossipy. I mean, just everything. He wrote an incredible amount of songs, and it poured out of him. It was just like turning on a faucet, as you guys would say, and it just poured out of him. And he was just brilliant. He could produce lines the way that John Coltrane could produce, you know, saxophone solos. It just poured out of him, and we've never had anyone like that, really.
Yeah, I saw that he died at a very young age. So was he always so prolific through his whole life?
Oh my goodness! When you look at what actually he did in his short life, you think, well, when did he have time to do that? He also held down a full-time job, really, through that whole period. His art never really sustained him, you know, in the way that it should have, because there wasn't really an industry for people like him in those days. There wasn't really a kind of a way that you could earn money very easily. So he was always working, and all his work was usually done after a long day's graft, you know, working hard physical labor. And then he would sit down, and he would be mulling through all these ideas as he worked, you know, doing all these labors. And in the evening, he'd just retire to his room and write them all down. Incredible process.
Okay. Could you perform one of your Burns-inspired songs for us?
Yes. We've got, I was just thinking, we can maybe do Lassie Lie Near Me. Would you like to do that, Susie? This is actually a song that Robert Burns wrote about the aftermath of the terrible Battle of Culloden. And he actually wrote a lot of songs about that particular conflict. I mean, dozens of them, really. He really added such a huge amount to our understanding and of the emotions of that period. But this is also a very beautiful love song. It's a sort of very tragic but beautiful piece. It's called Lassie Lie Near Me. Here we go. Lang hae we petted ben, lassie, my dearie, now we have met again. Lassie, lie near me, near me, near me. Lassie, my dearie, long hast thou lain thy lane. Lassie, lie near me. Frae dread Culloden's field, bloody and dreary, mourning my country's fate, lately and weary, 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 lately and weary, become a sad banished wight, far fae my dearie. Loud, loud the wind did roar, stormy and eerie, far fae my native shore, dangers stood near me, near me, near me, dangers stood near me, no, I've escaped them all. Lassie, lie near me. Ah, that I endured, lassie, my dearie, now in thine arms is secure, lassie, lie near me, near me, near me, lassie, lie near me, long hast thou been thy lane, lassie, lie near me.
Hey,
Thank
that
you.
was beautiful. Thank you. Very beautiful. So you primarily play guitar with harmonica, but I noticed we have a music video online of you playing an upright bass.
Oh, yes.
And playing
Yeah.
it very well. Kind of a jazzy feel to it.
Yeah, I've always loved the upright bass. I would hate to be on the road with one of them. You know, they're just a nightmare. I mean, moving them around is so hard, and they're also quite fragile because they fall over quite easily, and you know you can do lots of damage quite quickly to them. So, but I love the sound. You just cannot beat the sound of an upright bass. Yeah.
Yeah, and I certainly hear it in some of your songs. There's a little bit of a subtle jazz influence that comes through here and there. What are other types of music that you draw from that you feel influences what you write and what you perform?
Well, I would say really I've been most influenced by the music of my parents from very early days, and my mother was a total folkie, you know, from the 60s, and absolutely folk music, you know, and still is. And my dad, who was actually from Glasgow, much more sort of metropolitan background, and his interest was really in the music of the movies, really of the 1940s and 50s, and the great musicals, and Gershwin, and Irving Berlin, and all these great musicals and films, which of course all these songs became the sort of heart of the whole kind of jazz classic repertoire. So I think I've been influenced by both these things, but the folk thing really was the stronger of that, and I think that the thing that really attracted me most as an adult to folk music was just the authenticity of it. You know, folks who were singing songs in their local accent about things that were happening just down the road. You know, and I think that's what I love most about folk music.
Well, you certainly have a remarkable discography, including a lot of work with the Blind Dogs.
Oh, yes.
I'm curious how you came to know and join them.
I was asked to join the band when the original singer, Ian Benzie, decided to hang up his tonsils, as it were. He decided to give up. And I don't blame him. I mean, he'd been on the road with these guys. He was a bit older than the rest of them, and he was really like the mother hen. You know, he was the one that had to sort of like get them into the van in the morning, and you know, and just control them all. And great guy, fantastic singer, and a huge influence on me. And I was just really in the same scene really as them, and had performed with them at several concerts and at different festivals and stuff, and I think they saw me as a sort of natural replacement for Ian, you know, who, as I say, I was very much influenced by. So that's really how that worked out.
Yes. So how did that work coming into a group that was already in existence? They kind of already had their own following, and how did that?
Well, I think initially I just really parroted Ian. I think I just really sort of sang the way that Ian sang. And then my sort of hair started to fall out, and then I started to look like him as well. Until it got to the stage that people thought I was him, you know, and I'd be in America, and they would say stuff like, "Oh, I remember when you did such and such and such and such," and I went, "No, I did. That wasn't me. That was Ian."
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I'm still curious to learn more about your creative process.
Uh-huh.
You know, I'd love to hear like what the genesis was of maybe one of your favorite songs. You know, what's one of the songs you always go back to and really enjoy the most?
Well, we could maybe do the Battle of Waterloo for you. The Battle of Waterloo is one of the several songs that I've written to bagpipe tunes. And the music of the bagpipes has been a huge influence in songwriting in Scotland for a very good reason, and that is the range of the bagpipes is actually quite limited. I think an octave is, that's about all that you can do on the bagpipes, which is a very comfortable range for the human voice. So if it works well on the pipes, it usually works well as a song. Fiddle tunes are generally too vaulted in their, the range tends to be two octaves, 2.5. You get these really big spans in fiddle tunes. So a lot of great songs, including a lot of Robert Burns songs, are from the bagpipes. So if you find a good bagpipe tune, you've found, the heart of a good song. And this is a song I wrote called The Battle of Waterloo around a very well-known march, which is called the Battle of Waterloo. Although the actual tune is more cheerful than what I ended up doing with it, because the tune itself, which goes ba 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 dum ba re ba dum da ba dum de ba dum da dum ba ba dum da, and then I heard it played as a lament, which was more da bum ba dum ba da ba dee, and I thought, oh, that would make a really good depressing Scottish song, in a minor key. Yippee! And that's what really, and I just really used the image of the idea of a Scottish soldier basically on the battlefield, talking in his mind to these various character in his life, his daughter and his wife, and to Napoleon himself and stuff. And that's how I came up with the song, which we'll do for you. Does that work out?
That would be beautiful. Yeah. Thank you.
I have to make sure that I don't have my capo on for this, because that would be a disaster.
Yeah, in the interest of time. Yeah, sure. In the interest of time, I think we'll close out the segment with a song. We do appreciate you taking time from your day to join us from your home in Scotland. Listeners can go to jimmalcolm.com to look for more information about Jim's music and the availability of his most recent release, The Berries. Jim and Susie Malcolm, thank you.
Thank you very much. The Battle of Waterloo. Spring comes, take it away. Are the world's in bloom? Winter is forgiven now, full by April's bloom. Kitty, oh kitty, you would I my hame till Napoleon's bloody cannon hit their aim. Jeannie, oh Jeannie, I am surely done, stricken down in battle at the Muthoboni's guns. Jeannie, oh Jeannie, I say dear to me, let me hold you in my mind before I die. For how cold it turns in autumn when the wind rakes the trees and the summer lies forgotten in the cold bed of leaves. As winter begins, I mind Boney, it wasn't only you who was broken on the fields of Waterloo. Surgeon, oh surgeon, leave me to my pain. Save your knife for others who will surely rise again. Surgeon, oh surgeon, leave my blood to pour, and let it drain into the bitter clay once more. For the cold it turns in autumn, when the wind rakes the trees, and the summer lies forgotten in the cold bed of leaves. As winter begins, I mind Boney, it wasn't only you who was broken on the fields of Waterloo. Daughter, oh daughter, listen dear to me, never wed a soldier or a widow you will be. Daughter, oh daughter, curse your lad to die, and he catches there and couldn't search his eye. For the cold it turns in autumn, when the wind rakes the trees, and the summer lies forgotten in the cold bed of leaves. As winter begins, I mind Boney, it wasn't only you who was broken on the fields of Waterloo. Boney, oh Boney, what was I your game? Bloody field your table, cannon yours to aim. Boney, oh Boney, we high live the same, drilling laddies not to feel the musket's flame. For the cold it turns in autumn, when the wind rakes the trees, and the summer lies forgotten in the cold bed of leaves. As winter begins, I mind Boney, it wasn't only you who was broken on the fields of Waterloo.